Hello, and welcome to an intro to Anthro with two humans. I'm human number one, John McCray.
And I'm human number two, John Lehr.
And this is the podcast where we reassess what it means to be human. And the title of today's episode is Money Can't Buy Happiness, but it sure buys a lot of meh. So, John, we're going to be talking about money today.
All right. Are we qualified to talk about money and happiness? I just feel like of the things we're qualified to talk about, neither of those should be on the list. I mean, you know?
Well, I think we're qualified to talk about the lack of money and unhappiness, which I guess is kind of the flip side of the same coin. I mean...
Okay, you're right. We'll draw a contrast.
Right.
Okay.
And also, we're not going to be talking about how to... how to make money. There's not going to be financial advice in this.
Good.
And if it does
you
leak
not
out,
take that from us.
No, I was going to say, if for some reason something does slip in that like we talk like we know what we're doing with money, do the opposite. Well,
one of the best investment ideas I ever had, the one that I thought was the best that I ever had, came from you, where you said that we should invest all of our money into 7-Elevens, car washes, and laundromats.
Right. You don't have to be there.
By that. I do too. You said to me, John, all you got to do is fill it up with soap, collect the coins.
Right. You don't even have to be there. You just come around like once a day, once a week.
Well, 7-Eleven, we'd have to be there.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. But I could work. I'll take the graveyard. You work the morning shift.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
We'll take all this podcast money and roll it over. Bitcoin. You could have Bitcoin for laundry.
Yes.
A little percentage.
Well, Bitcoin's coming. It's coming.
So John, as for better or worse, as people probably know, money is a part of our lives.
Yes.
And if you don't believe me, just look at all the songs that have been written about money.
Money!
I was going to say that one. There's the Pink Floyd song.
What a great song. I think that's not in 4/4 either. I believe that is in 7/8 or something like that. Remember, time signature.
It started with the cash register.
Yeah.
Remember they sampled the cash.
Chicken.
Like our friend Jeff, who did our logo, and I years ago were trying to reach the point where we could do a version of that with like sniffles, coughs, and sneezes. So it was like
that's a genius idea.
And we never could get through it. We would try it, and we'd just start laughing through the whole thing.
I love that. I would love to see a live acoustic performance of that by you two.
You also have "Can't Buy Me Love" by the Beatles, trying to say that love.
Yeah, but you can. Yeah. I mean, let's stop that right now.
Yeah. Simpler time, I guess. But no, it was the same back then. It doesn't take much money to buy love.
No.
From the musical Cabaret, you have money. Money. It's called a money song, but it's also "Money Makes the World Go Round." Remember that?
Yeah.
And then you have "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend."
Diamonds are a girl's best friend. That's one of the impersonations I can do. I can do two.
I put that in there for that because that's actually from the Broadway musical. What was it? What was the
Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend? 7-Year Itch? No, I don't know.
It was not Gentlemen's Prefer Blondes. Maybe, was that the name of it? Anyway, but it was originally on Broadway, it was Carol Channing, and then in the movie, it was Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, boy, that's a shit. Well, hello, Dolly. Well, hello.
I just out in like when they came into like audition for that, and just to see Carol Channing sit down next to Marilyn Monroe in Hollywood, it's like I can tell you who's going to get cast out. This isn't Broadway. You know? And then we're coming into Christmas, and there's Eartha Kitt's Santa Baby. Remember? It's like
Oh,
Santa
yeah, great
baby.
Santa baby.
Yeah. Give me this 57 Chevy or whatever. I mean, she just gives a bunch of fur coats, all the stuff that she wants for
luxury.
Christmas.
Yeah.
And along that same line of the Christmas song, my favorite happens to be Pearl Bailey's A 5-Pound Box of Money.
Oh, a 5-pound box of money. That's a lot of bills.
That is a lot of bills. And it's kind of the same theme as Santa Baby. I don't know which one came out first.
I'm sure
but in this one, Pearl is kind of like laying it out. She's like, just bring me a 5-pound box of money.
That's for our first wedding anniversary for my wife. I got her a roll of $5 bills. I think it was like $1,000 maybe in $5 bills, and it was a thick roll.
Yeah,
maybe it wasn't 1,000, but it was a thick. And I handed it to her because your first anniversary is paper.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I know what kind of paper she wants. But meanwhile, she had bought me or us a painting because it was on paper,
right?
Which cost the same amount of money that I gave her. So it was kind of like the old, a story where
the comb, where
the comb, and
she cut her hair to buy him.
I sold my pocket watch for a chain or something. I don't know what the hell happened.
That was a lot of car washes you could have got with that. A lot of car washes and laundry you could have done $1,000 worth of bills. But before we begin, John, we do have to address the elephant in the room, which
and the donkey, the elephant and the donkey in the room.
Right. Yeah. There's two of them in this room with us, which was the election last week.
Yes, a week from, tomorrow. This will probably be released a week after the election.
Right. And, as we've done this show over the last year, or more than a year, actually, we've always tried to focus on anthropology and what makes us all human.
Yes.
And what we all have in common and what we all share as members of this species, Homo sapiens. And I think what I love about anthropology is it's an attempt to understand people. And so in this post-election period, while emotions are still raw for both sides, I urge everyone, and this show urges everyone, to look at their fellow citizens and humans with compassion, empathy, and understanding.
Yes.
And if there's one thing this show has taught us, and the study of anthropology has taught us, is that we are just a blip in the 7.5 million year history of bipedal primates.
Yeah, the only thing that's going to survive from this period is going to be an intro to Anthro with two humans.
I bought a cave. I bought a cave out in northern New Mexico where we are putting these episodes on platinum discs.
Yep, lining it with lead.
Just like the Scientologists. I drive them up there after each episode, after you send it to me. I go, it's a secret location.
We're also going to send one to outer space, like the Styx album. Remember that Styx album where it... What album was that?
I don't know. I would love to see like some alien life form be able to play it.
We represent all of humankind.
It's like, oh, Jesus. On second thought, abort the mission. The mission. We're not going there. Actually, I like Styx is all right. I like Chicago band.
They were okay, but then they went to the then they got all they went to the ballads. That's where they lost me.
Didn't Mr. Roboto too?
That was the end to me. That was the shark jumper. Was Mr. Roboto. After that,
a visionary. Maybe a Mr. Roboto. Maybe an alien life form would find that appealing.
Domo morigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo.
It'd be like in Close Encounters when they finally come down to us.
Yeah.
We finally meet them. We come out and they start playing that.
The spaceship goes. Is that Domo? Is that Domo? Is that Mr. Roboto?
Yeah. It's like,
quick, break out the Signals album. I gotta bone up.
Yeah, remember they had the guy with the keyboards that he was like responding to him or whatever.
Yes, exactly. I do remember.
Trying to do the hand, the do re mi signs for that.
That thing got crazy. What the hell was that movie?
The only thing I really remember out of that is just when Richard Dreyfuss lost his mind and started making the Devil's Tower out of
this living room.
Yeah, that's like I was thinking even before out of mashed potato. Every time I get a plate of mashed potatoes, I still want to just. But anyway, I just want, in closing on that and moving on, I just wanted everybody to keep in mind that life is like a bad job. It sucks when we're in the middle of it, and ultimately, all we take out of it are our friendships.
That's right. That's right.
And
well said.
So play nice and get along, everybody. And if you can't, I have another intro to this episode, which we wrote, and then on second thought decided not to record. So.
Well, yeah, I think you did the right thing. We need to bring peace and understanding out there in the world, or at least like a bad job. You just gotta stick it out. Just
stick it out, and remember, even the people at work. At work, it might not be great, but when you get outside and have a couple beers with each other, you might end up sleeping with them. You never know.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've done that. I have pooped where I eat many times. Not a good idea.
Okay, John. With the doors open, the elephant and the donkey have been led out. It's time to talk about money. And
okay.
And this topic originally came to me from my wife, Mary.
Oh.
And I think it was from her. I put all the topics people send in, I write them down on note cards like this.
Yes.
And so I had money and then in parentheses, Mary. And I think that meant that she had given me either that or I owe her money.
You definitely owe her money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But what really caused this episode to coalesce was an article I read in The Guardian back in July of this year.
Okay.
And the article was written by a journalist named Arun Salam, and it was titled, "Money Can Buy You Happiness, Says Study Suggesting More is More." and the article starts with the line, "This just in, money apparently does buy happiness."
Well, hell yeah.
I know. That was my thought. That was my thought.
Duh. We've been telling ourselves for as long as I've known that money doesn't buy us happiness, but let's be honest, everybody.
Yeah, who is passing out that image? It's either poor people who are like trying to make themselves feel better.
No, I think it's the rich people because they don't want us to come after them.
Right. Yeah. I think it is. It's like, hey, it does. I'm horrible.
No, it doesn't. It's grass is always greener. Really?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay. And as somebody who grew up poor, I can honestly say it certainly doesn't make you less happy.
No.
And if you're going to be miserable,
broke. It just sucks.
And even if you're going to continue being unhappy, at least you could do it in better places, like better hotels, or
Yeah, you could be miserable while getting a full body massage. With an 8-ball of Coke sitting there on the massage table.
I'm so fucking unhappy. I'm so fucking life is so miserable.
Yeah, this is terrible. Get the calves. Get the calves.
Yeah. It's just it doesn't make sense. It's not worth it. And happiness, quote unquote happiness, seems like a very important topic for humans in general.
Yes.
And Americans especially, because happiness is one of the certain unalienable rights that's mentioned in the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
So in the article, "The Pursuit of Happiness, Time, Money, and Social Connection," Cassie Mogilner says, "There is a common assumption that money is critical for the pursuit of the American dream, an individual's inalienable right to be happy."
Cassie, who? Who was that?
Mogilner.
Yeah. Wow, that's a tough one. Cassie. There's Mogilner over there.
But going back to the Declaration of Independence, which was the founding of this country,
yes,
it says, quote, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." There it is.
Yeah, there it is. We're supposed to be happy.
Yeah, throughout our history, the other ones we haven't. I mean, all men created equal hasn't been, but you know,
no.
But the happiness.
There's a lot of things you just read that haven't come true. but I think it does say the pursuit of happiness,
right?
So it doesn't mean you seek it, but you don't necessarily find it.
But that seems to be like the goal that we, as a nation, we have. We're a nation of happiness, or at least
the problem with that is that you got to define what happiness is. I mean, what is that? Right. I mean, is that contentment? Is that peace? Is it luxury? Is it wealth? What is happiness?
I think for everybody it's different. That's why it's so hard. That's why as a nation, we're so unhappy, it seems like, because I'm happiest when I'm not at work and when I'm having sex. So I hope this new government takes that into account when they try to pass some laws for us. Get rid of work.
Get rid of work and let's all get laid. Okay. I'd try that.
But I think, and because that's in the Declaration of Independence, it's the idea is that if we're not all happy, then that's when we'll have a revolution for it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, I'll tell you this. We're not happy. This country is not happy. Half of us are unhappy because of the loss in the election. The other half are pissed about everything, it seems.
Right. Always unhappy. No matter
always unhappy. So I don't know, man.
But even with the Declaration of Independence, they put that at the end of the list, if you notice. So the first one was life, then liberty, and usually you save the main point to the end of your list. You know what I mean? So it's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness is there at the end. That seems like it's more important than the other two. And I tried to change them around. Like if you put in the certain unalienable rights, such as happiness, life, and liberty, it doesn't have the same ring.
No,
it doesn't have the same ring in there.
Doesn't.
Yeah, and so to try to think about like we're happy, the American Revolution. Like if you were to say to people, "What are you fighting for?" Well, we want to be happy. You know what I mean? That
we want to be able to pursue happiness.
Right.
We want to be able to go for whatever our definition of it is. We want to be able to go for it.
Right. And be left alone to do that.
Definition is wealth, then you'll have you can go for it. Right. If your definition is, heroin, you can go, well, you can't go for that one. There's
if you want to sit around in your underwear and play video games all day, go have at it. If you want to love whoever you want to love, have at it. I don't care. To me, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Pursue whatever
it is that makes you happy.
Right. And I was trying to think too of like, if there was a mob outside a palace or something and they have like, they're all chanting and like someone comes into the king and is like, hey, there's a mob outside. He's like, what do they want? What they all want to be happy.
Jesus. Can you imagine that it's your job to figure that out? Oh, yeah.
What do we do to make them happy? Jeez. Yeah.
Well, that's what this new this new election is all about. Like, make us all happy. Get it done.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Good luck. God.
But obviously, as you mentioned, happiness is hard to define for people.
Happiness is a warm gun. Happiness is a warm gun.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's another song.
Yeah, I defined it. It's a warm gun. Boy, that kind of happiness.
I don't know.
That might be headed our way. Jesus.
But anyway, there's definitely a connection between money and the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
And because of that, I think that that's something as we as humans need to look at.
Yes. Yes, we do.
And in his article, Salam writes about a study that was done by Matt Killingsworth, who's a senior fellow at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, which is Donald Trump's alma mater.
Oh.
And Killingsworth tracked money's effect on happiness by surveying 33,269 American adults between the ages of 18 and 65.
Oh, God, another poll.
Who are employed and have an income of at least $10,000 per year.
10,000?
Right. And Killingsworth also, what he was so happy about is he said he also got data from the ultra wealthy, which are people with a median income or net worth of between $3 million and $7.9 million.
Yeah, but they didn't tell him the truth about it. Come on.
Well, he says this is usually unavailable, Killingsworth says, from the ultra wealthy, because he says, quote, perhaps rich people are disinclined to spend their free time taking surveys. I'm like, wait a second. Just because I'm poor, you think I like taking a fucking survey? You're like, what about my time? You know?
Yeah. I ain't rich and I hate surveys.
I know. That was just kind of like, okay. That kind of raised some hairs on the back of my head. Like, really? But I do love thinking about like Warren Buffett or somebody like telling like, wait a second, I got to finish the survey before we go to the meeting or whatever, you know. And Killingsworth asked participants to answer questions on a scale about their satisfaction with life.
Okay.
And so I would say, how do you feel? How satisfied? And he asked them to put it on a scale of 1 to 10.
That's it? That's the only question he had?
Well, I mean, there were other ones, but that was it. Like life satisfaction. How do you feel about it? How satisfied? What number would you put on your life right now? Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know. I'd probably go for a 6.
Oh, wow. Really?
Is that too low?
I don't know. I was expecting you to go a little
is like nirvana.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not a 10. That I know.
Right.
9 seems too close to 10. 8 seems like maybe I could do it, but not right now.
Right.
So I maybe even be lower than a 5. I don't even know how to answer. This is why I don't take surveys.
Well, again,
you know what I love about after an election? Everybody wants to kill all the poll takers.
Oh yeah.
And then they all explain, no, actually the poll was right. You know, and then that's how they explain all the, you know, and it's just like, Jesus.
I hope we never go out. I'm tired of listening to polls. I'm tired of listening to journalists. I'm just like,
I'm done. I'm done with polls.
Yeah. Just send me stuff on Facebook or Instagram or something next time. It's all a crapshoot anyway. Yeah. It seems like. But again, I think why people always feel so unhappy or unsatisfied is because of what we're saying. Is like how do you define that? Like I could never objectively define my satisfaction, especially for a survey. If someone sent me a survey and asked, "Are you satisfied?" I'd be like, I don't know. 8, I guess. I don't know. You know, it's like, and then
8. You're an 8.
I think I'm an 8 right now.
Wow.
We'll see. Ask me in a couple of weeks, but
wow, 8. Oh shit. Well, maybe I should change. Maybe I'll go with 7. I'll come up to 7. If you're an 8, I'm a 7 for sure.
Well, I kind of there was a guy, an anthropologist named Marshall Solins back in the 70s.
Okay.
And he came up with the idea of original affluence. And original affluence was, he looked at prehistoric hunter-gatherer societies and current hunter-gatherer societies. And he said that there's a couple ways that you can be happy as far as your income. And one of them is like you just reduce all of your expenses, everything that you need to survive, you reduce it. And then therefore it becomes very easy for you to meet your requirements.
Well,
So you either make more money to meet them, or you take the other approach and just reduce all of your
but
needs.
I need some stuff. I need underwear Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that doesn't
Here's an
take,
example.
you don't really
just
need
today,
it.
our washer went out. I was telling you before we recorded,
Yeah.
our washer went out. You got to have a washer, man.
Yeah.
The laundromat. And when was the last time you went to a laundromat?
It's been probably I think probably when I lived in Redondo Beach.
Okay.
I think it was Redondo Beach.
Wow. So that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right before I bought a washer.
Yeah. Having a washer in the house is an amazing luxury.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. You don't realize it. Now I've got underwear, I've got the whites, everything's separated and nowhere to go.
It's just, it used to be such a big thing to like, you have to pack it up. I'd have to put it in a duffel bag. Mary'd have to put her stuff
kind of meditative about once you were there. You had to hang out at the laundromat. And I don't know. I feel like I would read a book. I was like, there, you couldn't go anywhere. So it kind of forced you to just kind of chill.
That's why I thought, and everybody in there was in that same position of just kind of chilling in there.
Until they started having beer, and this was back when I was drinking, and then I would just get fucked up, just wasted and forget my laundry, and I'd screw it up. Remember how they would have suds and duds or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I got so drunk at those places.
I spent a lot of time in the one in Venice when I was living in the garage there when we were living out.
I know the one.
That was like a day. I was so broke. It was like a day out for me.
Yeah, exactly. It was so nice to have them all clean and warm when you got back. Yeah. God, nothing like putting on a pair of warm boxers on a cold day.
And by the way, getting back to Killingsworth's study, I just want to say that it's self-published and it wasn't peer-reviewed.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Jesus. Hey, I got a study for you. If you like that one.
It's so funny to me. It's like he sent that out for like other academics to review it. And they're like, "What? You're studying what? Does money make people?" Of course it does. I don't have time to take this thing.
Yeah. Jesus. Killingsworth, come here. I'll explain.
Just forget. I'm busy. Get out of here.
Oh God! Here comes Killingsworth. Guess what he's researching.
He wants you to read his paper about like whether
you know what his next paper is? Does poo stink?
But what Killingsworth found was, quote, the happiness gap between the wealthy and middle income participants was wider than between middle and low income participants.
Okay.
And he says that the difference in life satisfaction between the wealthy and those with incomes of $70,000 to $80,000 per year was nearly 3 times as large as the difference between $70,000 and $80,000 per year and the average of the lowest 2 income groups.
Okay.
And again, it's just kind of, to me, it's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Like,
no kidding. Middle class has more debt. They make more money, but it's at the end of the day, they're netting zero.
Right.
Whereas the rich can't spend it if they tried.
Right. And
that's a big difference.
I know. It's like there's a big difference between $80,000 and $4 million, what you can do with it, and between $40,000 and $80,000.
Yeah.
I think is basically how I read that.
Yeah.
So once again, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah. Jesus. Killingsworth. You're killing me, Killingsworth. And your study ain't worth a crap, Killingsworth.
And it's going around. People are all like really excited about it, what it was saying about happiness. So, John, you've talked before about being a poor kid going to Northwestern.
Yes. Yes.
And of being around really wealthy people. And can you describe some of your feelings when you first went there? And
I was just kind of shocked and confused. I had never been around kids who had their own cars and who, had
you were hanging around me.
I know, I was hanging around you, and you were even more broke than me. And I don't know. There's just a certain confidence, a certain confidence and just certainty that kind of the world is their oyster. And I did not have that point of view. I had the point of view of like, be careful. kind of thing. Like, you can always lose it. Because my dad, we had money for a little bit. And then my dad, committed fraud essentially. And all of it was gone. We had money for just a few years. We were broke.
Right.
And then we had money for just a few years. My dad bought a Mercedes. And then in the interim, when he had the money, he basically committed fraud, and everything we had was taken. Like my brother and I were playing basketball when they came and repoed the Mercedes.
Oh no, I was hoping he would keep it, and then like years later, the Mercedes would be like all broken down with like the stuffing coming out of the seats.
They took it. They took it all. But so, there was, I've grown up with this idea that it can all go away.
Right.
And, because I've seen it, and, so, yeah. So it's, I just had, there was just a certain confidence that they had because they weren't worried and they weren't, I knew that I was going to have to pay all my student loans, and Northwestern is expensive school. And, So, and they could go out to dinner and just all these things that they could do that I was like, really? I mean, it just, but you know what? I took to it immediately. I was like, this is great.
Well, that's kind of the way I went, because I grew up poor, as we mentioned. My mom had to work 2 jobs to just try it, but we'd still there were times where guy would show up, my mom wouldn't be there. He'd be like, hey, we need to check for the electricity, and it wouldn't be there. He's like, oh, I got to cut it off. That's my job,
Yeah.
And then all of my clothes growing up were coming from Goodwill, and now it's all trendy and hip, but at the time I was completely embarrassed about it. I was embarrassed by my old clothes, my cheap shoes.
Oh, you always looked good.
Well, well, thank you. It was on the inside, I was completely embarrassed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, at the time, there were like girls from wealthy families, rich families, seemed to be attracted to me. And it was because I think they wanted to make their parents mad. You know what I mean? And the way to do it was to go out with this guy who, long-haired, smelly, bearded, drunk liberal.
Yeah.
What I mean?
Socialist.
Right.
As bad as it can get.
And they succeeded. Their parents always hated me. Always hated me.
Yeah.
And as you know, I made a bet recently with my wife Mary, who it doesn't come from. I think that's the reason why we get along so well, is that it doesn't come from that wealthy background.
No.
But I made a bet with her to read all of the Agatha Christie, Hercule Poirot novels by the time I'm 60. And yesterday, I finished reading The Third Girl, which is the fourth from the last novel in the whole series.
Excuse me.
And in the novel, The Third Girl, there's the main character is a wealthy girl who's going out with this long-haired guy that dresses like he's from the 1800s, which sounds like me.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in which Poirot is thinking about all the possible characters. And he thinks about this guy, and Agatha Christie writes, quote, he was the kind of young man, Poirot thought, disliked by parents, members of the establishment, and also the police. Where the attraction lay for well-worn girls, Poirot failed to see, but one had to acknowledge it as a fact. That was me. That was me.
You.
And of course, they would never want to spend the rest of their lives with me. But I was just part of that time in college where everybody rebels against their parents and tries to piss their parents off.
Aren't the Agatha Christie novels amazing? Aren't they fantastic?
Yeah, there were times like 25 to 30 within there. I was like, oh God, I'm going to lose this bet.
Yeah.
But I'm back on. I'm finishing it up.
Format, it just becomes it's just like, okay, here we go again. But still, it's
like
just
Mad
amazing.
Libs. It's like Mad Libs.
Yeah.
She just puts it down and like, okay.
But she always has a wrinkle. I heard that she wrote novels that were to be released after she died.
Really?
Yes, that she wrote novels to finish off the series that she kept I don't know. Maybe this isn't true. Our readers will have to tell us.
Sexual fan fiction with Poirot and Miss
Yeah,
Marple.
the last one. Poirot. Whoa.
Miss Marple, the younger years. Remember in Sunset Boulevard where William Holden, his character, is an unemployed writer.
Mm-hmm.
And this rich woman, he goes in there, he finds Norma Desmond.
Mm-hmm.
Nora Desmond, she takes care of him, buys him new clothes.
Yeah. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
And there's a point where William Holden, his character, he, as a matter of principle, he's tired of her buying him stuff and all of that,
Yeah.
I never reached that point. I was like, they would take me out to dinner, they would buy me clothes, new shoes, take me out for breakfast.
Yeah.
And but the thing is,
you were a fixer-upper.
Yeah. I was a project. But the thing is, I remember one time in Paris, my girlfriend and I at the time, her parents had come over and they were well off.
Mm-hmm.
And they had come over to visit, and it was her dad and her mom and her brother and her best friend from back here in the States in college. And they asked me to come up to Paris with them because I could show people around, you know what I mean? I knew all the places in Paris.
Right.
But one night her dad was like, okay, we're all going out to dinner. And so we all go out to dinner. And when we get to the nice restaurant, he goes, by the way, you, John, and the brother, you guys are going to go to the cheap restaurant across the street. He didn't want us to go into the nice restaurant. He didn't want me to be in the nice restaurant with him.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So it was very embarrassing for me. I had to go over there.
Well, what did the girlfriend do? Was she pissed?
You know how it is when people it's just like, oh, I was so embarrassed. I can't believe he did that. But I couldn't really say anything at the time.
Yeah. She played it smart because you don't want to piss him off and lose all the money.
Right.
She's like, listen, I'm going to go to the dinner. You go across the street. It's the right
you
move.
Go out with my brother. And her brother apparently liked me because at the time he was into AC/DC and I looked like Angus Young.
Yeah, you did. You did look like Angus Young with those chops.
Yeah.
That was my favorite look of yours.
Right.
Of all the years that I've known you, that was my favorite.
It may come back.
You should grow the chops again. I'm telling you, nobody. God. You really could do it. You're a man. That's a man. I bet Mary would be turned on.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Try it.
Maybe I will. Well, I'll let you know.
Okay.
But anyway, there was being young and hot-headed then, unmedicated.
Drinking heavily.
Drinking heavily.
Smoking cigarettes.
I kind of lost my temper. As I was wont to do at that time.
Oh no!
And I think I don't really remember what exactly I said, but at one point,
drunk.
One point, I remember her saying to me, "You hate rich people."
That is true. She got you.
There's no lying about it. There's no lying about it. I wish it were different, but there's not.
No, you do hate rich people.
And one of the things is just because of the way I was brought up.
Everybody hates rich people, don't they?
I don't know. They always hate people who are richer. I don't know. Whoever you are, you hate people who are richer.
I don't know. I feel like everybody hates rich people. There's that bumper sticker of like, eat the rich. Everybody laughs at that.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I think, who was it? Was that PJ O'Rourke who said that had his book, Eat the Rich or something? I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I always hated that even the rich guy, they try to like pass laws or get mad when people hate them online. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're already rich.
Yeah, let us
have to love you too.
For Christ's sake.
Just don't look at your computer. Yeah. It's like, what else do you want from us? But I always what made me mad, it's kind of like you talked about how there was never a care in the world about it with people of wealth.
Yeah.
But I always felt like they were oblivious to like real struggles and real the suffering that goes on from poverty in the world because it never affected them.
Yeah. Uh-oh. What's going on down there? Did you hear that?
No. What was it?
There's a crash down there. I wonder if it's my dog.
Uh-oh.
It's all right.
But anyway, since years of therapy,
Mm-hmm.
since I've been, since that time,
Mm-hmm.
and I've come to realize everybody or in therapy kind of helped me realize that everybody's on their own journey.
Right.
No matter how much they had when they started out.
Yes.
And just because somebody has a lot of money doesn't mean that whatever they're going through is not as valid as what I'm going through or what I
Right.
went
Well,
through.
because I got news for you. You're in the upper 99.9% wealth bracket of the world.
At this point,
At
yeah.
the point, or I'm sorry, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if you've got a house,
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a pension.
I know. Things have come around.
You're debt free, except for good debt.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in great shape. You have health insurance.
Right. And
Look
to
at
me,
you. Look at that t-shirt. Look at that. I love that.
Yeah, look at that. It's
Look
a
at
tumbleweed.
that. That's a tumbleweed. I saw a tumbleweed on the highway just the other day in LA. I was like, how the hell did that get out here?
Really? Russian fennel or thistle or something.
Yeah, it was rolling. It was tumbling.
But anyway, so to come around to this, I was like, okay, I've had this realization that, people aren't clueless. Everybody's got their own thing. I can't, I used to always be like, you don't fucking know what it's like to be poor,
Right.
That whole thing.
Right.
And then I get to the next line in this Guardian article from Killingsworth. And Killingsworth told the Guardian, quote, he was surprised by how big the overall difference in happiness is between people who are wealthy and those who are low income.
Oh, boy.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Killingsworth is a total idiot.
I was like, you're so clueless that you don't realize that wealthy people are happier than poor people?
Yeah. Way to go. Thanks for telling us. But what about the Guardian writer? Didn't he push back and go, duh?
Yeah, I think that's what it should have been. It should have been just like front page, DUH, exclamation point.
Idiot says the obvious. Here's an article.
No one would review it. No one would peer review it for him, and he had to self-publish it.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus.
But Killingsworth goes on to make a good point. He says a greater feeling of control over life can explain about 75% of the association between money and happiness. So he thinks a big part of what's happening is that when people have more money, they have more control over their lives and more freedom to live the life they want to live.
Oh.
And I would have to agree with him on that.
Yeah.
One.
I mean, that's all I was just talking to somebody today about that. It's like, I don't really know what I would spend money on.
Right.
I just, when I've had money, and I have had money.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have money. It's really about freedom more than anything. I'm just not, luxury things like travel. Everybody's like, travel. I don't know. I travel a lot anyway for work. So I guess what would you spend money on if you had like unlimited funds?
I don't know. I mean, to me, I'm probably the most comfortable I've ever been in my life right now.
Yes, that's true. You are. I've been around.
Yeah. And I would say that when I was young and had no money, it was a feeling like you could lose everything.
Yeah.
At any moment.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do anything. You couldn't, like when people were going on trips or going on spring break, you couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
But even beyond that, I would say it was just the fear when you have absolutely no money, your options are limited. You can't do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was always afraid to answer the phone because it would always be bill collectors calling for my mom.
Yeah.
And I'm still, even now, it was like it conditioned me that I'm triggered by feeling like I could lose anything at any time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm still terrified of when the phone rings and it's somebody I don't know who's calling me.
Yeah. So it's the same. It's security. It's security.
Yeah. Right.
Well, this is where we're headed, everybody, because robots are on the move. It's not if, it's when. The robots are here. I hate to tell you. They're vacuuming our carpets. They're driving our cars. They just invented one that can clean a kitchen sink. I mean, they're here. We're all going to have robots.
Finish one that can give a guy
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, that's been around forever.
That's called a vacuum cleaner.
But I mean, I'm telling you, online you can get incredible blowjob machines. Right. Oh my God, they conquered that a long time ago. Anyway,
those old 2-stroke ones were horrible. You'd have to go out there
now.
Pull the chain and start it out in the backyard.
All your neighbors here. Oh Jesus!
People think you're out there like shredding wood. It's like, not really. No, I'm not doing that to wood.
Just give me 2 minutes, I'll be done. The gas. I rarely change the gas.
What's the mix on that thing? What's the mix on that? Oil and gas.
It's the same mix I did when I bought it. I still haven't run out of gas. But they're all here, and pretty soon they're going to take over every unpleasant aspect of our lives. Right. They're going to do everything for us. Then what's going to happen? What's going to happen then?
What do we get paid for at that point? What jobs do you do?
Right. Well, by then, I mean, I guess they'll pay us all. Everybody will have a certain amount of money that they get.
Socialist
socialist capitalist. Well, just because robots will be doing everything, and I mean everything. I don't mean like creative things. Like everything's going to be done.
Right. That's the way I feel. It's like when that happens, I mean, you get rid of workers, you reduce your labor costs.
Yeah.
But who's going to buy all the crap that you're producing that you're not going to pay it
for us and bring it home for us, and then we'll eat it, and here are my new clothes. But what do we do with our time? What are we all going to do?
I don't know.
And then at that point, heads.
People think like, well, robots... Will they develop consciousness?
Yes.
I think I have on the list, we're going to discuss robots in a couple of weeks.
Okay. But the answer is yes. Any sci-fi movie will tell you that. Yeah.
Envy. There's nothing like seeing an envious robot out there just like really unhappy.
Well, once they all become sentient, they're going to kill us all. I mean, that every single movie says that. But I'm talking about the in-between. I'm talking before they become sentient. When they're doing everything.
Right.
Everything.
Right. Ugh.
What are you going to do with your life?
It's a robot. You try to do something at your house and your robot just slaps your hand away.
Yeah, I got it.
I can do it a lot faster. Just give me the remote. Give me the remote.
They'll get it done before you get it done.
Yeah. All right, John. So in Culture Anthropology, Appreciating Cultural Diversity, Philip Kotak discusses social status.
Kotak.
Yeah. And Kotak says status is any position that determines where someone fits in society.
Okay.
And in society, we have ascribed statuses, ASCRIBED, meaning social status is based on little or no choice. And that's usually like race or gender.
Okay.
And we also have achieved statuses, meaning social status is based on choices or accomplishments.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And Kotak notes that these three things also help us determine a person's social status. They are wealth, which is all of a person's material assets and the basis of economic status. Power, which is the ability to control others, and that's the basis of political status. And prestige, which is esteem, respect, or approval of the society in which you live. And I would say in America, money plays a part in acquiring all three of those items: wealth, power, and prestige.
Okay.
And in the book, The History of Money, Jack Weatherford says that money never exists in a cultural or social vacuum.
Boy, is that true. Because I've been in those vacuums, and there's no money in there.
There's no money in there. There's no money.
You bring money into those vacuums and get sucked right up.
Yeah, it's just out of your pockets. It's like going to Manhattan when you're on a limited budget.
Oh, or Vegas.
He says it's not a lifeless object, but a social institution. So money is a social institution. We all have to agree upon money.
Yes.
To function completely as money, a material cannot exist simply as an object. It requires a particular social and cultural system. So we get whatever. I think that's what Bitcoin is trying to do. Bitcoin's trying to say, hey, if we all agree that this is actual money,
yes,
then we can spin this thing.
Yes, yes.
but it's
Well,
just
it's
hard to
based
get.
on blockchain, which is a valuable thing.
Yeah,
Because or not valuable, it's unique.
right. But we
Therefore
could
valuable.
all just as easily, if we got enough people to say, okay, we're all going to pay our bills to each other in dried macaroni noodles.
Mm.
And that's our that's going to be our currency.
Oh, I'd be totally against it. Because they'd be in your pocket, we'd be bulging with dried macaroni noodles. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And I chew on them. You ever eat raw pasta? Do you
Oh
ever?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Let
So
it
I
just
eat
kind of
my
get soft in there. Yeah,
yeah. But if you got, I mean, if you all you'd have to do is keep those weird cheese packets on you, and then you'd always have food.
yeah,
But it'd
yeah.
cost you.
Yeah, you would get stoned one night, and then you wake up and realize you ate your retirement savings.
How many? And I want you to be honest. How many bowls of macaroni and cheese do you think you've eaten in your life? Because there was a
Oh,
period of years where that's what I lived off of.
right, right. Yeah, even
Tuna,
more than ramens. Even more than ramen.
more than
Before
ramen,
ramen, it
because
was macaroni.
yeah, because you
Yeah.
could put cheese. You ever put cheese? I mean, put tuna in there.
Oh yeah,
Oh
tuna
yeah.
in there. You could put what's good is Gates barbecue sauce from
Oh,
Kansas City.
any
Put
kind of
that into.
ketchup based, yeah, tomato based stuff is good in there. What about peas? You ever put peas in there?
Pea
That's
good
good.
too. Yeah,
That
that really
shakes it up.
classes it out.
Yeah, it gives it a little color. That's like when you had a date, you'd put the peas in there.
Yeah, I remember there was a time I got mad at my mom when I was a kid, and I was like, I fucking hate macaroni and cheese. I'm never gonna eat it again when I get older. And now I'm older and actually have money. I eat macaroni and cheese all the
Yeah,
time.
it's
It's a
good.
comfort
Sometimes
food.
that's all you need in life. That's happiness right there.
Uh, Jacob Goldstein in the book Money, the True Story of a Made Up Thing, says that money feels cold and mathematical and outside the realm of fuzzy human relationships. It isn't. Money is a made up thing, a shared fiction. Money is fundamentally, unalterably social. The
Mm.
social part of money, the shared fiction, is exactly what makes money money.
Yes,
Otherwise, it's just a chunk of metal, a piece of paper, or in the case of most money today, just a number stored on a bank's computers.
exactly. We've got to all agree on it.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
And good luck to you if you try not to agree on it.
Yeah.
And
There are people out there,
yeah.
who sovereign nation people, and who are like, I don't recognize the dollar.
I just want to bring up there is a practice. Speaking of wealth, power, and prestige, there's in anthropology they always talk about a practice in the Pacific Northwest by the Native Americans up there, and it's called the potlatch. Potlatch.
Okay.
And in a potlatch, the prominent members of the community get more prestige by hosting feasts and giving away things.
Ah.
So the more you give away, the more prestige you get.
Well, I think
And
that's true. I mean, that's true in our culture too. People give stuff away to look. I mean, you look at Bill Gates.
yeah,
Giving all his money away. I mean, makes him feel good and look good to do that.
right. Increases prestige
Mm-hmm.
in the eyes of the society.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, what they would do is they would give away blankets, food, pieces of copper. And then there came a time in the late 1800s in the potlatch where people would they would just start destroying things
What?
to show, just so that there was more value to say, like, I'm destroying this stuff instead of keeping it for myself. And what happened is Christian missionaries at the time considered, and this is according to Kotak, says that Christian missionaries considered potlatching to be wasteful and antithetical to the Protestant work ethic.
Right.
And
It
so,
kind of cuts right to this. Like, hey, I don't care about your stuff.
right, you don't value that. It's just like, I'll give it away. I don't care. That's kind of how I still am. I think I'd much rather give away gifts than
You
receive
do.
gifts.
You do. You are a good gift giver. You really
Yeah,
are.
yeah. It gives me so much more joy. I think, again, because being poor for a long part of my life, to be able to afford to give people stuff
Uh-huh.
more than get it. But at some point, you have to open yourself up to receiving gifts as well,
Yes. Yes, you do.
I think. You can't always
That's
give.
right. Yeah. That's right. Like the composter I got you.
I know. I love it. I love it. Thank you very much.
Is it still working?
It's still working out. It's so dry here, though.
Yeah.
Whatever you put in there that's wet, you go out and check it the next day. It's just like sawdust.
So you never get worms in there or anything, any of that stuff.
I think they would dry out.
Yeah.
I think they would dry out. Maybe I could.
My
I don't want to put
composter here, man. You open that thing up and there's worms all over the place.
Really?
Yeah. Just
Did you put
that make it turn into poop. Worm poop is gold. That's my currency.
That's all right. Let's get a couple million other people to agree with you, and then we'll start our own economy.
It's valuable.
We'll all be wealthy. We'll all be wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's like, well, how much money do we need to be healthy or to be happy? Is there like an objective amount of money?
12 million. 12 million. Because you put 6 million away and never touch it. You never even touch it. Ever.
Yeah.
Until you die, until after you're dead. But
and then burn it like a potlatch. Don't let your kids get it.
No, you give it to your kids, whatever. But you have 6 million. I want to have 6 million that I never, ever, ever touch, just so I know. So I have that security where I'm just like, but then I want to have another 6 million to kind of spend and mess around with.
You know what I'm going to do when I die? I'm going to compost $6 million. Whatever I have left, the entire savings, instead of give to people, I'm going to potlatch it.
You're not going to leave your funds to me? I'm like your bestie. Jesus.
He's like, well, he gave me that composter, but he must have known what I was going to do with it.
It's going to be so dry. I'll get over there before it. I'll get that money.
So in the 2006 article, Who Says Money Can't Buy Happiness, Dwight Lee, who's an economist, says that surveys asking people how happy they are indicate that the average level of happiness has not increased over several decades, despite large increases in income per capita.
Is that? But okay. All right. But that's not true. Things have gotten better. I mean, there's empirical evidence that things have gotten better, over time.
These are asking people, are you happy? And I think that says a lot.
That's an age-old thing. There is no, people have been trying to find happiness since the monks, and nobody can find it.
I agree. Okay. And so what he's saying, though, is that in the United States, real income, this is a quote, real income per capita has more than doubled since 1950.
Right.
Yet the percentage of respondents who say that they are very happy has not increased.
Right.
And the percentage who say they are and the percentage who say they are not very happy has not declined significantly.
Okay. Well,
so in other words,
I have a couple of problems with this.
Go ahead.
People don't know how they feel. That requires a real a subjective, how do you
I know
people can't tell. They can't tell what they want, and they certainly don't know what they need. I don't.
Yeah. And I think when you do these surveys and you ask people, are you happy? Hardly anybody says, oh yeah, I'm happier than I was.
Well, look at me. I said I had a 5.
I know, which I was surprised about. I'm a little worried about.
Well, I don't know. I'd have to see what other people say, and then I can be more.
But I think about that. That's interesting that since 1950, our quality of life for everybody, our incomes, our real incomes.
Yeah. When you say real, you mean adjusted to inflation, et cetera.
Right. Et cetera. But they've all gone up since 1950. And yet people aren't saying they're any happier than they were.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder what the percentage of people that say they're happy compared to people like in the Middle Ages would be.
Right.
It'd be the same, I bet.
Yeah. It's just everybody always, when you ask them, everybody's always unhappy. Yeah. When you ask them on that survey or ask them, how are you feeling? Are you happy?
Is there an evolutionary thing to that? I mean, is that somehow a survival thing? Is that we always need more, or we're screwed? Like, is it this idea that you can't sit on your laurels or you're dead? The people who could find happiness and nothing were killed off by the saber-toothed tigers faster or something?
I don't know. Because again, coming back to original affluence, like if you reduce it, down to where you don't need much. You don't have to work that hard. You don't have to work that many hours, and you're content just to
Well,
everything's kind of
that's what they say about early man. That they just work like an 18-hour week. And here we are pumping out 50.
Yeah,
and we don't have
we're unhappy
to show for it.
We're probably just laying around taking naps and go out and find some berries somewhere, and then come back and have sex.
Can you nap? Do you nap?
I do nap. I nap a lot.
Oh God,
I took a nap today. I just woke up from a nap when you called me about the original intro to the show.
Oh man, God! So do you take a nap every day?
I can't when I'm working,
right?
But when I'm home on the weekends or home on vacation, I like to go in and lay down and take a nap.
That's I rarely go under. I used to.
Really?
I used to teach elementary school and then come home and nap and then go out and party my ass off.
Yeah.
Remember those days in Chicago?
I do remember those days.
Yeah. I'd come home every day, get home by 3:30. I'd nap till 5, get a REM cycle in, wake up, eat dinner, and then just start drinking.
Did you ever, my brother used to, when he was not drinking in Chicago, he lived up there, he would take a nap until like 11 o'clock at night.
Whoa.
And then go out. Because the bars stay open. And he said when he got in there, everybody would be like smash, and he was just showing up completely sober. And he said he seemed like the most charming intellectual guy in the place.
Well, he was charming.
Yeah, he was charming.
But yeah, I could see that. I remember him telling us that. I was like, wow.
Yeah, he'd just be like, "Well, I'll sleep until 11, then I'll get up and I'll go to the bars." And
he was an interesting man.
He was. David. I miss him very much.
One of a kind. One of a kind.
So I just want to talk about something. Lee says that there's 2 explanations usually offered for why people how they look at money.
Okay.
And one of the thing, and there's been studies done on this, they say that additional happiness from more income results primarily from increasing our relative income. So in other words, we're happier when we're making more money than the people in our social group. Not compared to the people, that are really wealthy.
Aren't we? Making more than you.
Right. And so he quotes economist Richard Lehr, who said that, quote,
Layard.
Evidence, Layard.
I know what his moniker was in middle school.
What was it?
Well, Layard.
Oh, yeah. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. I got it. He says that evidence suggests that people do care about relative income. Mm-hmm. For example, when people are asked to choose between a real income of, say, $75,000 a year in a world where the average income is $37,500 a year, and a real income of $100,000 a year in a world where the average income is $150,000, a majority typically chooses the former, meaning we'd much rather have $75,000 where the people around us are making $37,000.
Yeah, we'd rather stick it to the people around us rather than truly have some wealth. God, we're disgusting. But that's so true here. I mean, all of LA, everybody's driving fancy cars here. But here's the thing. Nobody owns them. Nobody owns their own car.
Right.
They're all leases. And they drive home to a 1-bedroom apartment and work at two jobs so they can drive around their BMW. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
But you're still as long as, like, if you're hanging out, for example, speaking of my brother again, his best friends, he had 2 best friends in Kansas City, wonderful guys, but they were both unemployed. And so my brother had a job. And so my brother, he was like a relative millionaire to them.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So he would invite them over, give them dinner, and he got prestige from it. He'd tell them, like, he'd shower them with gifts or whatever.
Yeah.
He'd get them high. He was like doing a potlatch with actual pot. Right. you know what I mean? But it was like relatively, he was the big man compared to them.
When we were all starving artists in Chicago. One of the roommates of mine had a job at an accounting firm, and he had, he would buy the toilet paper when things would go south. And we were just like, wow.
He's a millionaire.
Boy, that's when you know you're poor. Is when you have a standoff on toilet paper. Like nobody will go out and buy it. And so you start shit first the paper towels go. Then the napkins. Then
the coffee filters.
That's where I was going to go, the coffee filters. When you go to the coffee filters, man, that's when you know you're at the end. Yeah. Because after that, what are you going to do? Soup labels?
And they're steaming the labels off the cans and then putting them outside on the porch.
People start breaking out their old tax forms. At some point, you just start feeling other people's socks.
Yeah, just actual clothing. And
hey, where are my socks?
Who did it? Another thing Lee notes is that no matter how happy we are when we make more money, that happiness is only temporary.
Mm.
And so it's kind of like drugs or alcohol. Mm-hmm. This really made sense to me. So in other words, that as you achieve a higher income, you will soon find, this is Lee speaking, you will soon find that your happiness is fading as either your original reference group also experiences increased income, meaning that everybody comes up at the same time. So you're not really relatively happier.
Right. You can't lord it over anybody.
Right. Or their reference group shifts to include more higher income. So you make more money to where suddenly you're not in that same group you used to be able to lord it over.
And now you're the small fish in a bigger pond.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Oh. It's so perfect. This is it's so nihilistic, isn't it? It's just like, Jesus.
I don't know. To me, it's just like realize that when you're trying to make more money or whatever, just know that's not going to last. And the other thing he mentioned, and this is an adaptation of evolution, is that sensory adaptation. And usually we respond more to changing circumstances. So, for example, right, exactly. So when you, Lee says that when you make a higher income, when you first make a higher income, you're aware of all the extra stuff you can buy.
Right.
And that gives you happiness.
Right.
But then the longer you've had that's no longer, that new income is no longer new to you.
Yeah.
And so suddenly it starts to fade. All that, just like tattoos or drugs or whatever it is, you don't get that same buzz anymore.
Yeah. Then you end up getting a buzz off when you were poor.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like just what we were doing, telling stories about when we didn't have any money. Like that I enjoy that. I enjoyed that.
There seems to be a way out here too in like Santa Fe. I've mentioned how in Santa Fe you could tell the really rich neighborhoods by their roads aren't paved. Because then it becomes like you're paying money not to have something. That's a sign of your wealth, is to go to a hotel where it's rustic, but I have to pay extra to go to this rustic hotel.
Right. I see. Jesus.
So
we're disgusting animals. What is wrong with us?
So just coming to the end here, John, in the article, does the pursuit of happiness lead to a better life? And this is just talking about happiness, not necessarily money.
Right.
But the psychologist Josh Gonzalez says that many people lack a clear understanding of what steps to take to genuinely boost happiness.
Right.
Making the pursuit of happiness confusing and ineffective.
Yes, but I don't think we know what happiness is.
Right.
It's too vague a term.
And and when you make it an abstract goal of like, well, I want to make more money to be happy, that's not going to last.
No.
You know what I mean? Or like, what do you mean by happy? What do you want to do with that?
Yeah.
Or what does that mean when you say happy? And I don't know. I think that's a reason why a lot of that for me, before therapy, I think that's one of the reasons I was never happy.
Yes.
I was never happy.
Yeah. Unless you had just finished a bottle of Drambuie.
Right. And then I was happy until I passed out, and then I woke up unhappy again.
No,
so there was
you
a
weren't
brief
happy.
moment.
You were not. You just didn't know what you were. which is happiness. I mean, the happiest I've ever been was when I was on opiates.
Yeah.
Well, because everything's fine. Everything's fine, you know?
Right.
But that's not happiness. I think the happiest I like peace. That's what I'm after now.
Right.
Like nature really does it for me. But in order to enjoy that, you got to have some money in the bank. Otherwise, I can't go walking around in nature if I'm broke. I got to get a job.
Yeah. See, that's where I'm conflicted, because it's like, I understand that, but you have to have money. Yeah. And money, I think, does come down to, it gives you that safety net.
Yeah. Back to that. Security.
Right. And it gives you that security.
That's what I mean about the $6 million. I never spend it. I just know it's there. I know I'm taken care of. So now I can do whatever I want.
Well, you know what? When I die, I'm going to leave you something out there in that composter.
Okay, you better.
So come over here. And
you will. I'm going to be the first there. I'm going to beat your brother there and your sister.
Yeah. And all the listeners here. All the listeners now will be looking in there. There'll be a note in there. I'm going to get some
of your books. I know those books are worth money too. I'm going to get in there.
All right, John. Any final thoughts about money and happiness? Or
yeah, meditation's good.
That's true.
That helps. I think being happy is about working muscles that are way over here, and they end up culminating in making your life happier. But if you you can't go right for it. If you go for it, you're gonna miss it. Right. You kind of got to work around. You know, I think exercise helps. I think giving people empathy, finding empathy helps a lot.
Right. Right. Yeah. We talked about it in the sobriety show that we do.
Yes.
Of how the cure for self-obsession
is
other obsession.
Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, it really does work.
Right.
Caring about others.
I think that may be good advice for post-election.
Yes, we've come full circle. Look at us.
Yeah.
God, we're good. I'm submitting this one to the whatever it is, the Potty Award.
The Webbies. The potties. I want a potty.
Well, this is to me. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say real quick. To me, it again, it's about my friendships with people and my loved ones. We went out to dinner. Some friends of ours had us over for dinner. 2 couples and the brother of one of the couples. And this weekend, it was just so much laughing, and to me, and you come out, and without anybody even drinking, you come out feeling like you're completely stoned because you've been laughing so much. And to me, that really is happiness to me, is when you can share that with people, and people don't feel alone, and they feel like we're all together, and we understand each other. And to me, you don't need money for that, but money helps you do that in a lot more fun places, I guess.
Well, for me, it's when I cashed in, a big paycheck into $1 bills, spread it around on my bed, took all my clothes off, and just rolled around in it.
Just all sweaty, get up with like $500 just stuck on your back. All right, everybody.
All right, this is human number 2 signing off.
And this is human number 1. Thanks for listening, everybody. I know it's a difficult time for everyone in the country right now. We love you guys. Everybody just hang in there. God bless you. God bless America. And all of us, let's just try to get along, because ultimately all we have is each other. Thanks a lot, everybody. We love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.